You can do it with an axe. You can do it with a chainsaw. As a matter of fact, I've got my bulldozer now. If your soldiers can't find any trees, they may as well be wearing Hawaiian shirts.
Alpha, request permission to commence countdown, over. Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It was the atomic age. The Cold War was in full swing by 1960. Australia had quietly entered from the side door and allowed Mother England to play in our backyard, no less than 12 times. Uncle Sam paid visits to Australia around this time as well, using our military airfields for various U-2 flying operations. But no spying, no. Weather and atmospheric chemical analysis. That's actually true. Things were heating up in Southeast Asia as well. Eyes were turning towards Vietnam. Will the communist North invade the capitalist South? Will it bring on another war? Will communism spread to other less prepared countries in that region? Will it be a quick destructive march south? To Australia? The Western world had to get ready and prepare for any eventuality. Fighting in the jungles of Southeast Asia? That was hard. Remember Papua New Guinea in the Second World War, among other places in that region? Those jungles are thick, and our machetes went blunt quickly. The enemy hid in the scrub so well that we wouldn't see them, even if they were only a few metres away. What technology have we got to counteract this tricky style of warfare? Chemicals perhaps? Herbicides? But herbicides are too slow, and the enemy will simply slip into the surrounding jungle that aren't already poisoned. And we can't poison all of it. There is one thing that can quickly obliterate almost everything around it in less than a second. You have heard of the A-bomb, haven't you? Would it work in a jungle environment? I don't think it's been tested in a jungle before. Could an A-bomb actually wipe away dense jungle, bring the enemy out into the open for a proper fight? That is, if they weren't wiped out beforehand. Let's see. It just so happens that tropical North Australia has some big clumps of jungle, especially Cape York, Queensland, and it's remarkably similar to the jungles in Southeast Asia. Well, Australia has had plenty of experience dropping A-bombs into the atmosphere over our deserts and oceans. We may as well chuck one on a fragile tropical ecosystem while we're at it, like the rainforests in Queensland. Let's do that. What do you reckon, Bob? Does it really need to be a nuke to see if a big explosion can flatten a fragile ecosystem? Probably not, Prime Minister. I think we can do it another way. How about we use a surplus amount of almost out-of-date TNT from artillery shells? So it came to pass that in 1961 to 1963, a bunch of military folk from Australia, the US, New Zealand, Canada and the UK got together to design an experiment to see what a nuclear blast would do to a tropical jungle environment without the deadly radioactive fallout. So where in Queensland are we going to actually do this? I hear Cape York in the far north has a pristine, fragile environment suitable for mass destruction in the blink of an eye. Hey, how about the Iron Range near the town of Lockhart? Uninhabited country. Uninhabited country except for some local indigenous people. Don't worry, we'll make sure they're all relocated before we blow up their backyard. By 1963, the Australian Army, along with the now defunct Dept of Supply, had got underway with surveying and clearing the land for what was to be called Operation Blowdown. An apt name, not hiding any of its intentions. We're going to blow the shit out of some scrubland in the name of science. But the Army and the Boffins did it properly. They put an array of specially designed instruments to measure the effects of the blast literally everywhere around Ground Zero. We're talking high-speed cameras, meteorological instruments, seismographs, you name it. They were put in the ground and the trees. Speaking of trees, every individual tree in the area was surveyed for age, height, density, girth, root depth and species, just so we could work out what to stand behind in Vietnam if we ever happen to be in the target area should a friendly A-bomb be detonated in our vicinity. If this was to be a one-off test, then let's do it right. Let's fill the area with decommissioned military paraphernalia to see how it would withstand a blast and pressure wave like that. No stone or leaf would be unturned in this exercise. Literally. In 1963, a 153 feet steel tower was erected over Ground Zero. Upon it sat a 50-ton, 4-metre diameter sphere of TNT, a mass that would ultimately yield the equivalent of a 1 megaton nuclear blast dropped from the air. On the 18th of July 1963, with all preparations complete, the countdown was scheduled to begin at 08:30 in the morning. The inhabitants of the nearby Lockhart River community had been safely moved away. A company of 150 soldiers and scientists had moved to higher ground to view the explosion, a treat not to be missed. With all the last-minute checks complete, the countdown had begun. Op blowdown had reached its zenith, and like clockwork, the button was pressed and the TNT was ignited.
45 seconds. Alpha for Delta, over.
Delta, over.
Alpha, start automatic sequence, over.
Delta, Wilco, out.
Delta for firing control, start automatic sequencer. Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
In a flash, the tower had evaporated, and the pressure wave was sent forth to do its business. Like an actual nuclear bomb, after a blinding flash of light, a gruesome mushroom-shaped cloud appeared rising from Ground Zero. Unlike an atomic bomb, the jungle was spared the lethal radiation and fallout dust, but it was the after effects of the blast that was the most important thing of all. That is what the whole operation was about. A 1 megaton nuclear bomb blast from 210 metres in the air can wipe out all trees in a 30-metre radius around Ground Zero, and produce limb and vegetation damage out to 330 metres. The soldiers were then tasked to advance on Ground Zero, where it was noted that what used to be the forest floor was buried in at times a 1 metre thick layer of ashen leaves, stunting the patrol order. The blast was a success. All the measuring instruments had done their job, and it seemed the raw data matched the predictions and models made by the Boffins leading up to the test. Thankfully, nuclear weapons were not used in Vietnam for any purpose, especially for the inane task of clearing vegetation. The ends certainly did not justify the means. Today, the area around Ground Zero on the Iron Range has since been reclaimed by nature. However, some trees still bear the scars from the blast, and although the damage was severe, it was at least spared radioactive contamination that a real nuclear warhead would have most certainly have wrought. If you are ever driving through Cape York Peninsula, Ground Zero is surrounded by the Iron Range or Kotini Paimu National Park, and is open for tourism today. So if you're gonna do it with an axe or a machete, or, better still, leave it the fuck alone, perhaps. Anyway, this is Threads. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you getting it this far. And hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed it. This is E Says. Have a good one.